guys, Absolute Duelist here, coming at you with a new hand testing video of the Spright deck that I took to the regional the other week and managed to come top 4 with. Now, this was requested basically in the comments saying, oh, can you do a hand testing video? And I was like, you know what, sure. We haven't done a hand testing video in a while, and seeing as we did do this deck profile, I thought I'd do it, even though there are other hand testing videos on the channel of Spright, and there isn't really anything new to add. I thought, hey, just because it was requested and because obviously this is going to be a newer version and the deck's different and there's definitely some different plays that you can potentially do in the deck, I thought, you know what, let's go ahead and do an update. I'll go ahead and do some explanations as well with some cards and reasonings you take them, and just in general give you guys a nice bit of content for the week. So we're going to be going ahead and doing the hand testing now. Shuffled it up a bit while I was talking, and let's see what we get. So first 5 cards, let's see what our hand's going to look like. So starting off, we got Pot of Prosperity, Infinite Impermanence, Nimble Beaver, Serenade, and Called by the Grave. So this hand is actually very, very good, just for the fact that we've opened, well, this, like literally these 4 cards are actually very, very strong here. The Serenade is nice because it gives us a hand trap, but pretty much we can prevent a hand trap. We have interruption for our opponent's turn. We can go ahead and get any card from the top of our deck, and we've got the Beaver so we can guarantee full combo as well, with the Called by to stop our opponent from Ash Blossoming it or doing anything along those lines as well. So opening hand is actually very, very strong here, even though we have to go ahead and normal summon the Beaver. But without ado, we're going to go ahead and start playing this. So the first thing we actually do is go ahead and Pot of Prosperity, and because we're going first, what I normally do is I banish the, well, OTK package. Well, not the OTK package fully, but we go ahead and banish the Zeus package because honestly, you're not going to really use it when you're going first. Like, I found so many times that when I'm going first, I want to keep my going first resources, and if I'm going second, I want to banish like Totally Awesome and some other stuff just so I can have the resources there, that I'm going to just go ahead and set up a board most of the time that can't be beat. So these cards will most likely never come up. So I normally end up banishing these, and sometimes Soul Sweeper, and sometimes Shadow Mosquito. It really depends on the deck that I'm up against, but in this case, because we don't actually know, we're going to go ahead and banish the Shadow Mosquito. Because we don't know what we're up against, the Shadow Mosquito could be doing nothing in our extra deck, because yes, it can technically be an OTK piece, but we're going to banish it because it's mainly there for the Zeus anyway, and I'd rather have the Onimaru just so we can go ahead and have that removal. So we're going to go ahead and banish those 3 face down, and then reveal the top 3 cards of our deck. We get a Beaver, which we're not taking, Ash Blossom, and a red. Now, this is an interesting choice of what we could take. We could take the red to go ahead and have the prevention for like hand traps and stuff, but we've already got the Called by, so we don't need that. We could take the Ash Blossom to have another interrupt for our opponent's turn, which is also very strong, and we're definitely not taking the Beaver because we need at least 2 in the deck, so that's definitely going to the bottom. Now, just because we already have so much prevention for hand traps, we're gonna go ahead and take the Ash Blossom, just because it's an additional disruption for the opponent's turn and gives us that additional edge to go ahead and prevent our opponent playing the game. So we'll go ahead and take the Ash Blossom here, put that to the bottom, and then we'll start doing the standard combo. So we're going to go ahead and start off by normal summoning the Beaver. Beaver's going to go ahead and summon the Nimble Fish, or the Nimble Angler, as it's called. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link these 2, summon Sprint. Sprint is going to trigger, standard, it goes ahead and sends any level 2 to the graveyard. And we're going to go ahead and send from the deck to the graveyard a Nimble Angler. Where is it? There it is. So we send the Nimble Angler to the graveyard, and then we summon the other 2 Beavers from the deck, because when the Angler is sent from hand or deck to the graveyard via card effect, it summons 2 Nimble monsters from the deck, or up to 2. So we summon the 2 Nimble Beavers from the deck, and this is pretty much just the standard Spright combo at this point, where you're going to go ahead and guarantee Toad. So we go ahead and do this. We overlay these 2 next, summon the Gigantic. Now, sometimes, if my hand is different, I will actually detach the Sprint from the Gigantic, because, well, we should have summoned this into attack mode, but depending on my hand, I do sometimes actually detach the Sprint from the Gigantic, because there is a cheeky play that you can do, where if it's your opponent's turn, and they're doing stuff, you can just go ahead and detach the Sprint, and summon it back from the graveyard, so you have basically the ability to compulse when your opponent summons. And I like to do this against decks like Telements, because it means that you can go ahead and put back stuff like the Kalos, and also other cards, such as other Telements, and also Rhino Heart, Kaleido Heart, all of that good stuff. But in this situation, we're not going to be doing that because, one, we don't have an additional monster to go ahead and summon, so we can't actually do that, and 2, because, well, it's going to go to the graveyard anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So we'll go ahead and summon the Swap Frog here. So we'll go ahead and summon the Swap Frog, and then we're going to go ahead and trigger the Swap Frog's effect, which will send a Swap Frog to the graveyard. And just like in the deck profile, this is what I mean by saying we only need 2. You don't need more than 2 Swap Frog. Like, you only use Swap Frog to make Toad, so I don't see the need to run the 3rd. I know some people were saying, oh, but you can summon it from the deck, but I don't like that for the pure fact that, yes, I can summon it from the deck, but if I summon it from the deck, I could be super polyed, which is a card that's actually played right now, so I don't really like playing that. But now we're going to go ahead and link these 2 up. We're going to summon our Spright Elf. Elf is going to trigger, summoning the Swap Frog. Then we're going to overlay these 2, summoning our Totally Awesome. And then that's pretty much the standard Spright combo with us setting the Called by the Grave and the Imperm as well with 2 hand traps at hand. So essentially what we got here is a couple of different routes. So on our opponent's turn, we can have 1 or 2 Omni Negates. And I say 1 or 2 because, as I was saying earlier on, we can actually just summon back the Sprind if they go ahead and activate a Tear Element effect, and then summon it back, go ahead and use its effect, detach the material from Toad, and then just compulse their Kalos. Or if we just want to make sure they don't have any effects at all, we can just go ahead and negate with the Toad, steal their card, and then just summon it back with the Elf if they summon a monster. Like, this is something that I do at times. It really depends on the board. Like, this can come up very, very well a lot of the time. Like, honestly, I've done this so much throughout the regional. I did it at least 6-7 times throughout the entire regional, and it did wonders. Not against Tear Element specifically, but when I did play the tier player, it came up, but against other decks as well. It just came up and it threw a lot of people off, and it just really did wonders at times as well. So just being able to have access to this is nice. But this first hand is pretty much just Toad or Sprind plus Sprind with like Imperm, Called By, and 2 hand traps. Like, that's the basic hand. We're going to be guaranteeing adding back a Nimble Beaver as well, so we can go ahead and have access to rank 2 players too. And on the following turn, we're going to go ahead and draw. Well, the Ash doesn't actually help there, but we still have access to a lot of different things. So that was just the first hand though. Like, honestly, that was standard Spright hand with a couple of extra bits added in there for you guys, just so you can, you know, get some ideas for other things you can potentially do. But that was the first hand, pretty good hand, and it was basically just 1 card combo because all we did was normal summon a Beaver. But that's pretty much sometimes what the deck does. That's the main thing the deck actually does. It just summons Beaver and go sometimes, or it goes ahead and summons other cards. Like, you could just summon multiple Sprites, you could just summon like a level 2 with a Spright. Like, literally the main combo in this deck is 2 level 2s. 2 level 2s, go full combo, win. Like, that's the idea behind this deck. That's the go. That's the plan. But yeah, let's go on to the next hand and we'll see what we get. So shuffle up and let's draw 5. So this hand is actually really, really strong, and we can do quite a few things with it. So because we've already got the Swap Frog, we have access into a lot of other avenues now that we don't normally have access to. So let's go ahead and start off playing this hand. So we're going to start off by normal summoning the Swap Frog and declare its effect. We'll go ahead and use its effect, sending to graveyard the Swap Frog in our deck. Wherever it is, there it is. And then what we're going to do is we're going to special summon the Carrot, and then we're going to special summon the Blue. Reason behind this is that if they do have like an Imperm or something, we can technically negate just by tributing the Blue, so we have access to just prevent them from negating our card for free. So we're going to go ahead and trigger the Blue now, and normally people would think, oh, you get Jet here, right? You get Jet? No, we're getting Red. And the reason we're getting Red is because we're actually going to summon Jet later on in the combo anyway, because we already have the Swap Frog, so we don't need to worry about having the Jet. We just don't need to care. So we'll go ahead and grab the Red here. And then we're going to go ahead and special the Red. Now, just like before, if they haven't used the Imperm already, it's fine. And guys, if they did use the Imperm, you don't get the Red here, you do grab the Jet. You grab the Jet because it gives you the additional resource. But in this case, we don't need it. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and link the Carrot now, because if they haven't used the Imperm at this point, I doubt they have it. And if they do have it, well, we still have plays past that as well. So we're going to go ahead and link these two, summoning Sprind. Now, if they have the Imperm, they have the Imperm, but if they have an Ash or some other card along those lines, we can go ahead and use Red here to go ahead and tribute the Sprind to prevent the negation. So we're going to go ahead now and trigger the Sprind, And we're going to summon the 2 nimble beavers. Just like before. Then we're going to go ahead and overlay the Sprind with the beaver. And we're going to summon Gigantic. We're going to trigger Gigantic. We have a lot of resources. Nah, we're going to go ahead and just use the beaver, because we're going to link this off again. So we're going to go ahead and use the beaver here. We'll use the Gigantic to summon the jet. I've gone past the jets. Summon the jet, and the jet will grab us pretty much anything we want. We can get a starter, or we can get a smashers. In this case, we grab the smashers, and that's just so we can have an additional interrupt for our opponent's turn. Like, having the starter is nice, but because we're going to guarantee adding back a nimble beaver anyway, it won't matter. So we add the smashers to hand. And you know what? We actually shouldn't have detached the beaver there. We should have detached the Sprind. Just because we actually aren't going to link this off now that I realize, because we have enough resources to not need to do that. So we're going to go ahead and now link these two. Summoning the elf, just like we did earlier in the last one. And then elf is going to trigger. We're going to summon our Swap Frog. And then we're going to overlay these Swap Frogs, making the Totally Awesome. So, essentially what we've got here is we've got Double Cross to steal, summon, or just equip to any of our rank 2s, or summon to a link 2 zone. We've got Smashers, banishing any card non-targeting. We've got at least 2 to 3 Toad negates. And we've also got a straight monster negate with red. And we can also go Elf Effect to summon back our Sprind, which will allow us to detach from Gigantic or Toad to just go ahead and compulse any monster. So, this board, great. Absolutely insane. We have so many different options and so many different resources here that no matter what our opponent does, I'm pretty sure we're going to win. And that was pretty much from opening, well, blue plus 2 level 2s. Like, honestly, being able to open, like, any hand like this is really, really strong at times. And we even have an Ash left to just go ahead and have that too. So, pretty much, this hand was very strong as well. And it just shows that Spright with more level 2s, like 1 level 2, no. 2 level 2s, yes. More? Unlimited power. Like, that's pretty much how this deck goes in that kind of mindset. But let's go on to the final hand testing now, because always in these videos, we just do 3 hand tests normally. And yeah, let's go ahead and do the last hand. So, let's see what we're going to get. Hopefully, it will be a good hand and not a brick. Because if it is a brick, I normally just say, you know what, because it's a brick, we're just going to do an extra hand. But we will see as far as we can get with that particular hand. So, yeah, shuffling it up, making sure it's all nice and mixed. And let's see what we get. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're starting off with an Angler, a Blue, and a Bystial. With an Ash Blossom and a Called By. Now, guys, this hand is also very, very strong. You're probably thinking, oh, we've opened the Angler. That's terrible. But because we got the blue, it's fine. And if we had one more level 2, this Angler could be so much stronger. Like, we would be able to do so much more with this if we had another level 2. But let's go ahead and just do the standard combo, I guess, because that's what we do with this hand. I don't think there's anything else we do. Let me just think for a second. Actually, we can do a bit more. So we're going to go ahead and normal summon the Angler, special the blue. Blue's going to go ahead and grab Jet. Where's Jet? So we grab Jet, summon Jet. Jet effect grabs Double Cross. Because honestly, it's the best card in the entire Spright deck. If this card didn't exist, it wouldn't be as good as it is now. Then we go ahead and link these two. Summon the Sprind again. Sprind will trigger. Sending to grave. Where is it? There we go. The other Nimble Angler, which is going to go ahead and summon 2 Beavers. Then we go ahead and overlay these, which will go ahead and summon out the Gigantic. Then we go Gigantic, it should be in defense. Gigantic detaching Sprint again. Summoning out the Swap Frog. Swap Frog will trigger. Sending Swap Frog. So yeah, we're ending on pretty much one of the same boards we had before. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and do these. Summon the Elf. And then Elf goes ahead and just summons back the Swap Frog, and then we make Toad again. And then we have 2 sets and the Ash with the Saronir in hand. So, yeah, that was basically the same hand as before, like no real differences, in case you were wondering. Like, 3 level 3s can equal a board like this, as long as the blue is one of them. And then this is just pretty much what the deck does, guys. Like, the deck can do a lot. Like, we've got the same thing as we did last turn. We've got the triple Toad or the double Toad with a Sprint that can go ahead and compulse anything. We've got the Revive on the Elf. We've got Cooled By. We can go ahead and steal something, but then we lose one of our Toads, which is kind of unfortunate. But we've got a lot. Like, we've even got the Saronir and also the Ash Blossom with the Cooled By as well. Like, we have so many different resources that it doesn't really matter what our opponent has, because we've got so much pump at this point that there's no way they can actually come out of it. So yeah, like, guys, this is pretty much what the deck does. Like, there is actually some different combos now that I'm showing you from the original hand testing video. Like, I never did any of this in the original hand testing video. Like, we never did the Sprint combo. These are all new things that I've kind of just come up with since then, now that I'm thinking about it. And yeah, so I hope you did enjoy. I hope you did learn a few things about Spright for your own Spright deck, your own Spright combos, ways you want to play the deck. Because honestly, if you're playing Spright, you should be playing the deck as a mid-range combo control deck. So you're trying to control the game while also just doing combos at the same time. It's a very mid-range deck, I would say, where you're not on fully control, but you're also not fully combo. Like, you're not trying to go full ham in this deck, you're just trying to control the game to a point where your opponent can't kill you, and pretty much most of the time you can't kill them, you just whittle them down slowly. Like, you can OTK, don't get me wrong, but it's not always guaranteed. But anyway, guys, that's all I have to say for this video. I hope you did enjoy. This has been my new hand testing video for Spright, and there was actually some new things in here, so I hope you did enjoy. And yeah, guys, that's all I have to say. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Absolute Duelist, signing out. Later all.